Hello, my name is Dr. Richard Harris, and I'm an internal medicine physician and pharmacist and the CEO of Great Health and Wellness here in Houston, Texas. So we're going to be talking about CBD and how does it work? Is CBD this magical pixie dust that's going to solve all the world's problems? No, but it has some really interesting properties pharmacologically that make it a great holistic tool. So the ECS, the endocannabinoid system, there are two receptors that we mainly talk about, and that's CB1 and CB2. So the CB1 is mostly found in our brain, and then CB2 is mostly found in immune cells and peripheral nerves, but also in the microglial cells in the brain. And so CBD works by weakly blocking CB1. It's also an inverse agonist at CB1. And what does that do? Well, the CB1 receptor's main job is to prevent overexcitation in the brain. It's involved with short-term and long-term neuroplasticity, and sometimes it inhibits glutamate depending on where it is in the brain. So that's an excitatory signal, and sometimes it inhibits the release of GABA, which is an inhibitory signal. Its main job is to prevent overexcitation and then that nerve cell from just repeatedly firing and giving off a signal. So it's used in that type of neuroplasticity and neural training. Well, CBD blocks the psychoactive effects of THC, which is an agonist at CB1 and CB2 receptors. So that's why some protocols have it being given with THC, but we're not here to talk about THC. Okay, so weakly blocks CB1. It's a weak inverse agonist at CB1. That doesn't sound like much of an effect. Well, let's turn to CB2. What does it do at CB2? Well, it's also a weak antagonist at CB2. And so that's where we think that some of the anti-inflammatory modulation comes from, and then some of the pain modulation comes from its effects on CB1. But really, its main effect and how CBD actually works and why we love CBD in the holistic sphere is because it modulates our body's own endocannabinoids. So, 2-AG and anandamide, there are several, but those are the ones that are most commonly known. And what happens is CBD does two things that potentiate our body's natural cannabinoids. And that is, one, it binds to and gets chewed up by the enzyme that degrades those cannabinoids, fatty acid amide hydrolase. And so by acting as a substrate for that enzyme, it keeps our natural products from being degraded, so it allows them to work better. So really it's potentiating the natural effects, the natural systems in our body. We in holistic medicine love that. The other thing it does is it binds up the fatty acid protein that carries these molecules around. So these endocannabinoid molecules are fat soluble. So they have a binding protein that carries them. So if you have the CBD bound to the binding protein, now you have more free cannabinoids, natural endocannabinoids around to act at their receptors. And so that's mainly how CBD works, is by potentiating the body's natural systems, and that's why we love it in holistic medicine. But it's not only that, it has effects on other receptors as well. So there's some evidence that it works on the 5-HT1A receptor, which we know is big with depression and anxiety, and that's why you'll see a lot of people taking it for those conditions. It also works on various other pain modulation receptors. It works on the capsaicin receptor. It also has effects on a class of TRM8 receptors. The whole class of TRM receptors that are involved in pain as well. So CBD has multiple different effects on multiple different pathways related to signal transduction, inflammation, and pain. It's involved with our immune system, like I said, microglial cells and peripheral nerves, to decrease that pain transmission through those nerves. It also helps tone down the inflammatory signal from the inflammatory cells like the microglial cells. And that's really how CBD works in a quick 5-minute nutshell. But again, the key take-home point here is CBD potentiates our natural cannabinoids that we make allows them to function better. And that's why we love it in holistic medicine. Hope you found this video informative. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.
To learn more, visit our Learning Center at www.cbdhealthcollection.com.